Welcome to the Home of Misfits podcast, where normal is optional, masks are unnecessary, and you belong. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Home of Misfits, where normal is optional, masks are unnecessary, and you belong. Yes, I got it. Anyway, I'm your host, Sabine, and I'm here today with Daniel Sterling. Did I get that right?
That's right.
Okay. It's like I've just like I feel like sometimes I feel like my brain has like 50 tabs open on dial-up, you know? So
Yeah,
but
I'm with you.
anyway, and I'm excited because Daniel is actually here in Colorado. We're
That's right.
practically neighbors. I like that. So tell us a little about you. Who are you beyond, the labels and the titles and all of that?
Uh, that's a big bite. Uh,
Okay, we have 30 to 45 minutes, so give me the cliff notes.
yeah, so um, I kind of like my story. I was looking for meaning in all these pursuits that I was chasing in my life. So I started, my parents moved us west and we built a ski lodge in Aspen.
Oh,
I was
nice.
on skis at 3, and my older brother was a ski racer. And so I started ski racing at 8 and won my first ski race and was flooded with chemicals, endorphins and serotonin, whatever. And I was like, ooh, this is good. And so I write in the book that my memoir that for the next 16 years, I was chasing that high for the love that had gone missing in my house.
Mm,
So one of 5 kids, 2 cousins that lived with us. And so it was a bit chaotic, and an older brother who was tyrannical in a lot of ways. And I was trapped in that household at the mercy of him, and my parents did not intervene.
mm.
Struggled in school and math and just got no help and was pretty much on my own, trying to figure things out at a very young age. And became a withdrawn, sort of angry kid with an edge, and
Hmm.
didn't like, that part of me. But um, I finally, at 16, started to push back on the brother, where I got strong enough and I could take him on. Um,
I mean, when you say strong enough, I assume not just physically, but mentally strong also, right?
yeah, physically strong enough, but I just had enough where
Hmm.
he flicked me in the privates and I crumpled in pain on the floor. We were
Wow.
trying on sports coats for my cousin's wedding with my mother in the room, and I just lost it. I mean, I write in the book that I really could have injured him or worse if I had allowed myself to, but my own anger scared me and freaked the shit out of my mother. And she had seen a side of me that she'd never seen before, but
Hmm.
she was conveniently out of the room when he was
Well,
screwing with me.
right.
And my father was stressed financially and working a lot and just short, he just didn't want to hear it.
Hmm.
So um, I became a ski racer. I was just sort of obsessed and possessed with,
Well, I mean, it's kind of an escape then, right?
yeah, it gave me purpose and, a certain amount of accolades. And I very much identified myself as a super fast ski racer, and that's
Hmm.
who I was. And then it became more and more about my ego. And at 24, I just burned out on that. And then I thought, well, what now? No education, just a sort of a hayseed kid from Aspen and no worldly experience. And I thought, well, I will talk about what I know and love, which is ski racing. So I was like, well, I'll be a broadcaster. So I started doing radio and uh, got a job in Taos, New Mexico, where a friend of mine had invested in a radio station, which turned out to
Mm-hmm.
be a trailer staked down by steel wires to the hillside. So when the winds came, it didn't fly away. So I ended up going to the University of New Mexico and getting a broadcast journalism degree, and worked for the local TV station. And my
Mm-hmm.
news director liked me and saw something in me and gave me a job as an outdoor reporter. And so I did that for 5 years, and that,
So during that time, were you still looking to escape and chase, go for that adrenaline rush and all of that too?
yeah, it was, being on air was a big deal for me. I got
Mm-hmm.
visibility and a little bit of acknowledgement and recognition out in public. So that did it for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing all these crazy stories, of which I was sort of the center of attention, because I was needy of accolades, needy of recognition.
And
So,
at some point, it becomes addictive, doesn't it?
well, I don't know if I would term it addictive, but it was a never-ending quest for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I skydived, and I was, shot video on a glider. I did ski tips. Went into these massive underground cave systems, did all these crazy stories for 5 years, and it was very fun and very good for my ego. And then I was like, I'm done with this. It's just not exciting to me anymore. So I moved to Southern California to try and write and direct feature films. So that was the next holy grail.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was going to be it. And I ended up writing 5 screenplays and couldn't get an agent. So I posed as my own agent and was shopping my scripts to every production house in Southern California. And
I bet that kept you busy.
yeah, it did. But it was a very solitary, sort of lonely existence, right?
Mm-hmm.
It still
How
can.
was that for you? I mean, from like getting all those accolades and really feeding your ego, to that solitude,
Yeah,
you
there
know.
was nothing, but I had this greater vision um, out there on the horizon, that
Mm-hmm.
someone with a little clout in the industry was going to read one of my scripts and say, I'm going to give you a shot. And so that was always the hope, it was fuel for me. I
Right,
was convinced that that's just my personality, to grind and work and effort, and until I figure it out.
right.
But again, I was doing this all on my own. And finally at 39, I wrote those screenplays, and I sat back and went, oh my God. I wrote and wrote and wrote, and figured out that I had nothing to say, honestly,
Mm,
because I didn't know myself. I didn't have any sort of insights or depth to who I was. And had a girlfriend who was editing a book for Lloyd, who had a men's group. And Lloyd took sympathy on me and said, why don't you come to the group? Never been in a men's group, never been in therapy. First night in, he's telling me, why don't you tell us about yourself? There's 5 other guys in there. And I started talking and just lost it, broke down in tears. I mean, it was like I had been holding onto all of this for 39 years, literally.
so would you say that was like the turning point for you when you're like, oh man, and really it's like there because you just said it's like you wrote a lot, but you really had nothing to say. So was that meeting, that first one, like, holy cow, and then things shifted for you? You
Uh,
didn't you didn't just
yes.
write then anymore, but you had actually had something to say then?
Yeah, I stopped writing. I was like, I'm done with that. So yes, um, the breaking down in that meeting was very cathartic for me, and releasing. And it was like
Nice.
cleansing for me in that moment. Couldn't articulate it, but I knew something had happened. So I kept going and made friends with a guy in there, and said, you should meet Gladys was her name. Um, she's amazing. I was like, great. What's that mean? Said she sees everything and she's conscious. I'm like, great, conscious. What's that? So We met.
That's like a whole new world.
Yeah. So the three of us sat down, had dinner, and she said, well, tell me about yourself. So I started reciting to her the story of my family, which is on its surface a pretty kind of an interesting one. Like
Right.
my mother went on a game show in the late 50s called Tic Tac Toe. She's got a photographic memory, very smart, and won $15,000. And that was our seed money to move west and build our lodge.
Hmm.
So, the older brother was an Olympic ski racer. So was reciting all this was all by rote, my story. And at the end of my telling her my story, she looked at me, she's like, well, that all sounds great. Why are you so miserable? I was like, oh my God, am I that transparent?
Yeah.
Apparently I was because
And
she,
you know, sometimes we don't see it when we're in it,
oh
you
yeah, of
know, and
course
it's
not.
like we need to have this outside perspective, you know, to hold up that mirror, and it's like to really call us out on it before something really big shifts in us.
Yeah, exactly right. And I knew that I couldn't do this life alone, but I'd never had an older, it's, some tribal elder, so to speak, ever take
Mm.
an interest in me and take me aside and say, you need to settle down a little bit and let me talk to you about a few things. So um, I found that in her, and
Nice.
she, over the course of the 20 plus years that I was in relationship with her, um, reframed my entire outlook, changed. I mean, I changed with her help everything about me in ways that are just amazing, and
Hmm.
I'm very grateful. So I write this book, and I'm working on the second one to pay forward what was given to me.
Mm, that's nice.
And if whatever I say, which is there is a way out of these very dark places that I was in. And so if I can provide a little bit of light and hope, then I will have
Right.
achieved what I set out to do, honestly.
What was the biggest aha that you learned through that was pointed out to you, and how did that change for you?
That's a very good question.
I know,
So,
right?
yeah, if I were to put my thumb on anything, it would be personal accountability.
Mm, that's
Um,
huge.
yeah, because it was so painful to accept the truth of who I was that I was looking to project it onto anybody that was in the vicinity,
Hmm.
so as not to take ownership of any bad behavior, my ego, my defiance, my defenses. When I started to take ownership of all that, everything changed. There was seven of us in this group in California, and it was amazing. We met every Monday and talked about our lives and whatever was going on. And anytime one of us said something that was hurtful or joking, but it wasn't so funny, then everything stopped and we took care of business and we talked about it. And she could see it all coming from miles away.
Wow.
It was so insightful and read energy like nobody's business. But she had a way of articulating these things. And first thing she had us do was to start speaking in I statements.
Mm,
It's,
that's big.
oh man, it was so huge. And it was where I had to bring it back in, and where I couldn't talk about other people, which was one of my go-tos. It's like,
Right.
see, jerk off that guy is. So as I started to pull that all back in, yeah, it was not an easy process. Let me tell you, I struggled with it for years until finally, I'd be in one of our meetings and I'd say some smart ass thing, and they're all looking at me saying, I'm put off by what you said to me. And I was like, I was kidding. And they're like, yeah, that's not my sense of it. I was like, you guys are so wrong.
Mm,
I'm right. And for a number of years, that was my posture until finally I was like, I don't want to fight this anymore. And I just started talking and I said, everything in me tells me you guys are wrong. But I know you guys care about me and love me, and why would you say otherwise? And so I'm going to trust that what you're telling me has truth to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the beginning of accountability for me. And
Right.
it's massive. And frankly, I wish there was more of it in the world today because it would be a
Oh
better
yeah.
world.
Well, I mean, but I mean, we're so conditioned. I mean, growing up and everything, it's so easy to put blame outwardly. And it's like, no, it all starts with you because the reflection without is a reflection from within, but we're so conditioned, and socially acceptable that we can blame, oh, it's my upbringing, oh, it's this, oh, it's that, and da 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 da. And instead of like taking responsibility for our actions, for what we say, for how we feel, take responsibility for us.
Yeah. Victimhood is very powerful energy.
Oh yeah.
And uh, I'm convinced that every one of us can sense it in others, and it's got this sort of icky energy attached to it because nobody wants to sit and listen to someone, bitching about the world and their circumstances and never
And it's
taking.
amazing how quickly people agree, and it's like, do that one upper thing. It's like, yeah, oh, this is bad, but here I'm much worse off, and it's just like this
Yeah, there's that too. Yeah.
that. So some people do get together to listen to each other whine because and I mean I've been there. I've
Yeah.
done that.
Oh
When
yeah.
I was like knee deep in victimhood, but and sometimes it was nice to hear that I was like, yeah, I'm miserable, and it's awful to say, but it made me feel better to listen to somebody who was off worse.
Yeah. What they call Schadenfreude, right?
It wasn't really Schadenfreude. It was really like kind of like a relief. And it's like, yeah, my life sucks, but theirs sucks more, so mine is not that bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I get it.
So but yeah, no, and it's so easy to fall into that trap because it's familiar.
It is, and there's a certain amount of reassurance that
Hmm.
others can provide. It's like, oh, I'm so sorry for you, and that must have been so horrendous for you. Um, so that to me is a trap and deadly because I always vowed that I would not get stuck in my story. And I've
Hmm.
been to enough meetings, I went to a few adult children of alcoholic meetings that my parents weren't alcoholics, but I was like, well, there was some dynamics that were similar. And I appreciated the fact that these people were sharing some very difficult stories. But week after week, I felt like they wouldn't make eye contact at the beginning of before the meeting or after. And I was always looking for connection. I was like, as soon as the meeting was over, man, I felt like
It
the
was done.
lights went back up. And I was like,
Right.
how sad that there's this opportunity to connect and um, say, I had it tough. And I'm not going to allow that to define who I am today.
Hmm.
I'm just not. So I'm
I think
interested in,
sometimes it's because it's like if we say it out loud and let others in, we have to do something about it.
that's true.
And it's like that fear of change, that fear of responsibility, and it's like, yeah, so it's easier to just like, well, here's my story, and then move on, just continue with whatever, and I've been there. I get it.
Yep. As have I. Yeah, I mean, I could be very whiny and victimy, and I know it so well in me. Believe me, I don't talk about this without having firsthand experience because
Right.
that's how I grew up. I was looking for sympathy everywhere I went, and
Hmm.
uh,
Well, and that's the number one secondary benefit of being in victimhood. We get the attention and the sympathy from others.
yeah, yeah.
So,
So God
but yeah.
forbid get stuck in that. So yeah.
So what did it look like for you to start taking responsibility then for you, for your actions, for the way you feel, and how did you start showing up differently?
Uh, Very good question. Liberating, first
Mm-hmm.
off. It was like, wow, there is something here. So I liken it to my life today where, if I overstep with a friend or say some smart alecky thing, I can grab it and say, I think maybe I went a little far. If I did, let me know and I'll be careful. So there's sort of this clean ownership that's just who I am today, where I don't have any sort of twinge about, oh God, they're going to call me on this and I'm not going to want to own up to it. No, there's none of that. I mean, it's like, why? It's such a waste of energy and it's
Mm-hmm.
very dark. So I lost my train on your question.
No,
Remind
that's
me.
okay. It's about taking responsibility. And how did that change? It's like, how did you start taking responsible, and then how are you showing up differently now?
Now, today or back then?
I mean, but between then and now, the changes, the difference, is like when you started taking responsibility, for, first of all, it's like somebody holding up that mirror, and it's like, hey, you know what? Yeah, stop blaming. It's you, you know. So that like, oh man, now I have to do something about it. Is like start that. I think that's when it starts. We start taking responsibility, and then it's like gradually over time, it becomes more and more, and it's like the way you show up now is different, so.
In every way imaginable. Yeah. So as I started to own these behaviors, it became, like I said, liberating, but I started to feel so much more grounded in who I was. And um, I felt like no matter the circumstances that I was in public, wherever, I felt like I I could rely on who I was becoming,
Hmm.
which was my authentic self, really. And that was, I found very comforting and empowering. And, you know, I, sh my mentor was, she loved clothes and when I met her, I was just sort of a dirtbaggy mess with clothing. But so she started to clean me up in that way as well.
Hmm.
So it was like this transformation as I stepped into, these beautiful clothes. I started to stand up straight and become someone that I was proud of and who I was really coming to love who I was. And
And
it's,
that's huge.
oh,
That's huge.
incredibly huge.
It makes all the difference.
Yeah, because I was powerless as a kid, and to own that later in life was an amazing experience.
Right.
And like I say, I'm forever grateful for it. And I just have great joy with that journey.
No, I love that. So of course now you show up more confident, more yourself, and it's like, I know for me, I mean, I'm human. We're human. You know, there's times we slip back into the old patterns because they were so deeply ingrained and it's part of our programming, but it's like what I found was is like, because the awareness, because understanding it, and it's like, oh man, okay, I'm not doing that again. Yeah, it's like, and then we flip the script, and it's like when I talk to somebody and I notice that I fell back into this old poor me victimhood type thing, I stopped that in my tracks.
There you
And
go.
I get funny looks sometimes. People are like, "Are you okay? Did you lose your train of thought?" I said, "No, I'm good. I just realized the old pattern was coming back."
That's a beautiful thing, Sabina, really, to grab it in the moment
Mm-hmm.
is to me everything.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm gonna fail, I'm gonna stumble, and I'm gonna say that snarky thing, and um,
And it's okay.
it is. But I have to take responsibility for it. And
Right.
if it lands on someone close to me or anyone for that matter, I'm just going to say, yeah, sorry about that. Here's what I'm going to do differently next time.
Hmm.
So I don't wrestle with that because I'm just so aware of it in me. And, you know, if I'm around people where there's a lot of dark energy, like I had a neighbor who I got into it with him, his huge dog chomped on my little dog.
Oh man.
This was a couple months ago, and I pretty much lost it and threatened this guy with his life because the the dog's incisor punched a hole right above my little guy's eye and could have
Oh wow.
damaged his
Yeah, is your
eye.
baby okay?
Yeah, he's good. Thank you. But the point was the guy just stood there. So
Mm.
when I get around that, and I would see him in the alley, and I said, what is it with you? Um, I don't go there very often, but I was glad I was said, be careful about people. Don't tap into that energy of mine because it can get ugly. So I very much have that side of me, and
I think we all do.
absolutely. Uh, so, when we get wronged enough in our life, man, there's a backlog of all that unprocessed energy because I can't take it out on a teacher who was paddled me in seventh grade and another
Right.
one whacked me on the head. I can't process any of that with these people because they're all gone. So it's all stored in there and
Hmm.
it still lives on in me. But as the old the wise saying about the two wolves in the
Right.
basement, which one am I going to feed?
Great story, by the way.
Yeah, the parable, love it.
Yeah,
So yeah, there's a lot of power in being able to grab onto that before it starts to get hold of me.
absolutely. And
And
you brought up something really good too. It's like apologizing. When we've done something wrong, and I think in society these days, it's a lost art, really. Because people instead of it's like step taking a step back and taking in like mental inventory with themselves, you know, people just lash out. Because it's conditioning, it's a programming, but but that's again taking responsibility, pointing outward what's going on inward. But it's like apologizing. I'm the first one when I screw up, man. I'm the first one. It's like my tismism brain goes like, oh, replaying the whole conversation. It's like, oh my gosh, oh, hopefully they didn't get. So, and I mean, I still do this occasionally, not as much as I used to. Now I'm just like, hey, I pick up the phone and I call the person, or right there in the conversation, I was like, you know what? That came out way in my head, it was different. I apologize. I didn't mean to offend. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. That's not what I meant. It's like, yeah, and a lot of times I've found too is like when I go back to apologize to people, they look at me like I have three heads and
yeah,
50 eyes or something, and they have no clue what I'm talking about. And there I was beating myself up over it.
yeah, I hear you. However, yeah, I mean it's foreign to most people because most people don't not proactive that way. That was never modeled for them, and so how can I
Right.
expect them to know it? But the point of it is that I say it for me. I'll say the apology for me because um, I know that I overstepped, and I like who I am in the process of saying, "Yeah, I'm going to take ownership for this," and because I care about you and love you, and you matter to me, and I don't want any sort of unfinished business
Mm-hmm.
lingering between us. So I'm going to take care of this now and clean it up, and then we can move on to the good stuff. I
Right.
would say that, I'm convinced most relationships die because there is so much unfinished business that gets passed over and then accumulates. And then all of a sudden you get a mountain. This is glad to always said this to where it's so big that you can't clean it all up. So there's great power in taking care of business in the moment and
Very
not
much
just
so.
moving on and pretending like everything is okay.
Hmm. Well, plus, I mean, if you take care of it, of the emotions and the feelings and everything in that moment, and take care of it, they can no longer fester in your body because it's like everything is energy, and all that negative energy that we're holding on to manifests as disease in the body. It's
That
that
is the
simple.
truth.
It's that simple, and it's like, yeah, a
Yeah,
lot of times it's like a cancer, for instance, has to do with anger. Cancer is anger, and depending on where it is in your body, you can look it up. What does that area in your body represent? And then you look at it, it's like, oh my gosh, where am I holding all that anger? I mean, it's some powerful stuff, and the sooner you can release it and let go of it, the better it is for you overall.
absolutely. Without
That's
question.
Yeah, and that was a tough lesson to learn,
Yeah. Um,
and I'm still learning. So
well, of course, the never ends.
oh no, we're
But that's
human. Ugh.
that that's the good news. So yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful thing to live a sort of what I call a clean life where I don't have unfinished business with people, and
Hmm.
um, I I still hold on to things. Um,
You mean
and
you're human? What?
yeah,
What?
yeah, um, yeah. It's up in
But
there.
there's like having that awareness. It's like, yes, we still make mistakes. Yes, we still, it's like we can teach and talk about all of these things with our clients, with, whatever. We still make those mistakes too. The difference is we catch it faster and we can redirect faster. That's the only difference, I think.
Yep, yep.
You know.
And
So go ahead.
I was going to say, turn it into a positive.
Always.
And that's there's a lot of power in that too. Where we can get through a difficult, negotiate with a friend or partner or a spouse and get through it. It's hard, but to get to the other side
Mm-hmm.
and both people are released and that that sticky point is now taken care of because both people worked at it. That
Right.
is a beautiful thing. And then we get better at it and it's a cleaner process and
Well, but I mean, to also that's how really good relationships are built.
absolutely,
It's like
absolutely.
having that honesty and that at least you know where you stand.
Yeah,
It's like, and yes, you can
relationships
screw up.
relationships are work and
Oh,
people don't like to
absolutely.
look at them in that light, but that's the truth.
Yeah.
And so I I'm out there in the dating world, so I do talk about the work because they ask
Hmm.
what it takes and what my view of relationships are, and it's that term work is always in there somewhere.
Oh, it has to be. I mean, I'm married 37 years. We work on it every single day.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
with two willing partners, man, it can be an incredible thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to go back real quick with your mentor. What did your mentor see in you back then that you couldn't see in yourself? Other than, it's like, hey, you say a lot, but you really say nothing, you know. So what do you think she saw in you that you didn't see in yourself?
Well, what she saw in me was a lot of herself.
Mm.
She was an incredible athlete and very smart and had a lot of pain in her life. I'm careful about talking about her, but you asked the question, so I will say that. So she saw all that in me as well, that um, because she had her own mentor that saw her sort of out of the periphery and started watching her in the same social circles and tennis and such. And so she, I think she saw my potential and that I was struggling so much. She always used to say, the only thing people listen to is pain. And I was like, really?
Not wrong.
So, but the more I thought about it and lived it, I go, I get it because it takes a lot of discomfort and struggle and angst to finally go, I don't want to live like this anymore. I got to do something different. I don't know what that is or what it looks like, but I'm going to go and see what I can find.
Hmm.
So that's where I was when I met her. I mean, I was just at the end of myself.
Right.
So to answer your question, I think she saw that I was what she called to this work. And I was, I mean, I took to it like crazy. It scared me and I wanted to run for the hills every other day.
Hmm.
I hung in there and she hung in there too because there was many times where I'd be sitting in her car looking at the ocean talking and I was just so withdrawn because it was so difficult to talk about it because if I talked about it then I had to acknowledge that how dysfunctional I was,
Right. So
truly
how difficult was it for you to let go of that, of your ego, so you can be guided?
difficult. That was one of the last things that went was my ego.
Hmm.
Um, like I said, they're looking at me. I'm like, you guys are wrong. You're just wrong, and I'm right. I didn't say I'm right, but I did tell them that they were wrong.
Right.
So yeah, that was a few years. So yeah, I got to know my
Yeah.
ego pretty well.
Right. And it's like for anybody listening and watching, there is no magic pill. No matter what programs try to promise you and everything, it's like there isn't. You have to do the work. At the end of the day, you have to do the work.
That
You have
is
to take a close look in the mirror and be honest with yourself.
that is true.
And it
And
takes time and you will fall and you will falter. I mean, I still do. We all do,
no, no question.
but the more you do it and the more you become aware, the faster you will catch it and the faster you can redirect.
Yes. Um, I mean, self-understanding, self-knowledge is a beautiful thing and
Hmm.
an amazing, empowering thing. But I know for with every fiber of my being that I could not have done any of this without her. I need someone who is wiser than me, has some mileage on their tires, and has been through, down in the mud and the blood and been in the work.
Right.
Because I can't trust someone who doesn't know themselves, has not been there. So that this is the tricky part in the world today is finding that wise elder in the tribe, so to speak.
Well, it's not just that, but I think part of it too is like that fear of asking for help, appearing to be weak. That's not weakness. Ask for
No,
help. You cannot do it alone. I have mentors. We all have mentors, because it's like we need that guidance. We need that. And there's nothing wrong with asking for help. It's a good thing.
yeah, no, that's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
Finally say, I thought that I knew it all, but apparently I don't. So please help me.
Right. And that there's nothing wrong with that. And there's so many people there to help you. It's like you
Are
don't have
there?
to do it alone.
Are there?
There are. There's
Wonderful.
so there's so many. All you have to do is just like ask. It doesn't mean that when you ask, you go with the first person that says, "Oh yeah, sure." You know, Listen to your gut, listen to your instincts. It's like if you feel like there's something there, then go with it.
Yeah,
If not, keep on looking.
that's right.
But
That's right.
but it's like you will find somebody, that can help you and guide you, a mentor, a coach, a teacher, whatever. It doesn't matter. It could be somebody that you've known forever and a day, and then all of a sudden turns out it's like, oh my gosh, wow.
Student is ready.
You never know. Yeah, that's true. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. But it's like you won't know until you ask.
This is
And the
true.
worst thing people tell you is no. Well, guess what? The no is there. It's a given without asking.
And
Ask for the yes.
there's a reason that it's a no, because
Right.
they're
Ask
not
for
your
the yes.
person. Yeah.
Ask for the always ask for the yes. I always ask. My husband is surprised sometimes. It's like, how did you do that? Or how did that happen? I said, I just asked. He's like,
Yeah.
really? I'm like, yeah.
It's true. That's funny. I like that.
You
I
just
like
ask
that in you. I'm the same way.
because the no is already there. Ask
Yeah.
for the yes.
Uh, yeah, I'm asking for my literary agent to show up.
I know, right? Hey guys, we're both looking for literary agents. If you know anybody, or if you're a literary agent and you're looking, reach out to us.
There you go. I'm telling you. As an
You
old
know,
girlfriend used to say, make a space for it. I'm like, whatever. This was when
like
I was
shamelessly
22.
shamelessly plugging for help here.
I was like, you're so woo-woo. Get away.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with woo woo. I like woo woo.
Well,
So,
yeah,
but
no,
anyway,
this,
unfortunately, that's like the end of the show already. Gee,
wow.
I know, right? Time flies when you're having fun. It's like, oh. Do you have any parting words for our viewers and listeners? Something that they can take home?
Uh, that's a good question.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I have good ones.
uh, I would say that there are no shortcuts. It's a grind and it's tough work and it's sometimes scary, but for me, all I can do is speak for myself. It was the greatest experience of my life and I wouldn't change anything.
Hmm.
But I have to be willing to hang tough when it's scary and tough and sometimes dark. So there is a way out.
Hmm. I love that. That's good. And it's true. It's true. I'm a living testimony to that too. So
As am
yeah,
I.
very cool. Hey, if people want to get a hold of you, Danielle, how can they best get a hold of you?
So I've got my author website, daniel-sterling.com, and just did an Instagram account that I need to link to that writer, Daniel Sterling writer.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean I'm emerging. Got to get my book out in the world, and then the second book. So
And so it is.
I'm excited.
I'm excited for you. That's awesome.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you so much for being a guest here today, for sharing your story and and so appreciate it. And the fact that you're in Colorado, I mean, come on, we're neighbors. This is so
God's
cool.
country. Yeah. So thank you very much for having me. I'm very grateful that you reached out and it was a wonderful talk.
Thank you. And thank you guys for tuning in for this show. And stay tuned for next week for a new episode, The Home of Misfits, where master optional. No, see, I got it wrong again. Normal is optional, master unnecessary, and you belong. We'll see you next week. Bye. Thanks for listening to Home of Misfits by Matters of Perspective. You belong.